Hello students, welcome to our online platform. Students, myself your physics mentor engineer PP sir. Let us talk about today's topic, which is refraction of light. So in previous lecture we discussed about reflection of light from plane surfaces and from curvical surfaces, and today we are going to talk about refraction of light. So let us talk about refraction of light, how pattern of questions are asked from this topic. Let us see. So refraction of light means bending of light. Whenever light travels from one medium to another medium, then it actually bends from its path. It actually bends from its actual path. So this phenomena of bending is known as refraction of light. So we can clearly see bending of the ray light passing from one medium to another medium. So for refraction phenomena, there should be at least two medium, because light should travel from one medium to another medium. It means here I have given two simple diagrams. When in first one light is traveling from rarer to denser medium, and in second one light is traveling from denser to rarer medium. So clearly you can differentiate the ray diagrams that when light travels from rarer medium to denser medium, then it bends towards the normal. It bends towards the normal. It means in this situation its deviation from actual path is quite less, while when it travels from denser to rarer medium, then it actually bends away from the medium, and in this case deviation is larger. So here if you talk about deviation, then you can clearly see the deviation here is del is equal to r minus I. In this situation del is equal to I minus r. So here deviation is given. Now see, refraction of light can be explained by Snell's law. So Snell basically gives a relation sin I upon sin r is equal to mu. Here I is angle of incidence, r is angle of refraction, and mu is relative refractive index of second medium with respect to first. It can also be written as mu2 upon mu1 or 1 mu2, or you can say it as mu21. You can also represent it like this. So it is basically mu2 upon mu1 means refractive index of second medium with respect to refractive index of first medium. In other words, we can say that mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin r, or mu sin theta is constant. For any given medium, mu sin theta is constant. Mu sin theta is constant. In vector form, if we represent it in vector form, then we can clearly say that I cap cross n cap is equal to mu r cap cross n cap. So this is the vector form. I cap cross n cap is equal to mu. So mu is refractive index. Here it is r cap cross n cap. So this is the vector form of Snell's law. Now see refractive index. So refractive index of a medium is that characteristic which decides speed of light in it. So a character of any medium which represents speed of light, or which categorize or which characteristic shows speed of light in it. So refractive index is a scalar quantity. It is a unitless and dimensionless quantity. So whenever we talk about refractive index of medium, then it is unitless and dimensionless quantity. See, there are two types of refractive index. One is absolute refractive index and another one is relative refractive index. So absolute means of a single given medium, When light travels from air to any transparent medium, then refractive index of medium with respect to air. So here mu is equal to C upon V. So C is speed of light in vacuum and V is speed of light in a transparent medium. Relative refractive index is defined as refractive index of any medium with respect to refractive index of another medium. It means it is mu2 upon mu1 is equal to v1 upon v2. This is the relation. If you talk about some absolute refractive indexes, then these refractive indexes are glass. Refractive index of glass with respect to air is 3/2, or you can say 1.5. For water it is 1.33 or 4/3. For diamond it is 2.4. For crown it is 1.52. It is for crown glass. For air it is almost equal to 1, and for vacuum also it is almost equal to 1. So you generally have to keep in mind about water, about glass, and about air and vacuum. Similarly, relative refractive index can be defined either in terms of, let us say, if you have to calculate refractive index of glass with respect to water, refractive index of water with respect to glass, so its relation is very clear. Mu2 upon mu1 is equal to V1 upon V2. Now see Cauchy's equation. So Cauchy's equation basically gives a relation in wavelength and refractive index. So this relation is mu is equal to a plus b upon lambda square plus c upon lambda 4 and so on. So here a, b, c are constants, mu is refractive index and lambda is wavelength. So we can clearly see from here that higher the wavelength, lower the refractive index. That's why if we talk about light spectrum, visible light spectrum, then in visible light spectrum this arrow represents increasing wavelength. So wavelength of red color is maximum, so its refractive index will be minimum, and for violet color its wavelength is minimum, so its refractive index will be maximum. So we can clearly see lambda red is greater than lambda violet, so mu red will be less than mu violet. So this is the general relation. Now see, if a light travels from medium 1 to medium 2, then in that situation we can represent this relation as this, or we can say that Snell's law is now sin I upon sin R is equal to mu2 upon mu1. Now mu is inversely proportional to V, so we can say V1 upon V2, and V is directly proportional to lambda, so we can say lambda 1 upon lambda 2. So this is the relation. Generally this relation is used to calculate any term which is not given, like velocity, like wavelength, or like refractive index of a given medium. So dependence or refractive index, nature of medium of incidence and refraction. So refractive index simply depends on nature of medium in which light is incidenting or refracting, color of light or wavelength, temperature of medium. Refractive index decreases with the increase in temperature. So if temperature is increased, then refractive index will decrease. Principle of reversibility of light and refraction through several media. So let us see this by example. Principle of reversibility. So what is principle of reversibility? Let us say that in first medium our object is placed and it is traveling from rarer medium to denser medium. Then in this case we can say that refractive index of second medium with respect to 1 is reciprocal of refractive index of medium 1 with respect to 2. So this is the general relation of reversibility. Now refraction through several medias. So here in first case we are considering that light is traveling from first medium to second medium. So relative refractive index is 1 mu 2. When light travels from second medium to third medium, then we can say the refractive index of third medium with respect to 2. So it is again 2 mu 3. And again when light travels from third medium to first medium, then we can say that it is defined as 3 mu 1. So if we multiply 1 mu 2 into 2 mu 3 into 3 mu 1, then we can clearly see that light is traveling from first medium and it is coming back to first medium. It means their multiplication is always equal to 1. So while multiplying you have to keep in one thing, which is, let us say here 2 is at second place, it is at first place, cancelling out. 3 second place, first place, cancelling out. Here 1 first place, second place, cancelling out. It means its value in product becomes equal to 1. Refraction through a glass slab and optical path. So here we can say that whenever light travels from air to any denser medium, then after emerging from this glass slab, this light becomes parallel to incident ray. This light becomes parallel to principal ray. This is the general concept. Another one, if we say that this light ray travels without deviation, it is straight traveling, and let us say this is the path which actually shows refraction of light. So in this case, this angle difference represents deviation. This angle difference represents deviation, and this perpendicular distance between refracted ray and emergent ray gives us path difference, which is known as lateral shift. It is known as lateral shift. So lateral shift of ray is perpendicular distance between incident and emergent ray. So here, as I told you, it is represented by ray mn. It is represented by mn. So we can say that this shift This shift can be calculated by using the relation Mn is equal to T sec R into sine I minus R. Use this relation, or you can say T into sine I minus R upon cos R. So this is the formula to find lateral shift in a ray which travels from air to glass medium. Now see normal shift. What is normal shift? So here we are considering that we are having a glass slab of refractive index mu and thickness T. Any object is placed at a certain point. So whenever light travels from air to glass medium, then it bends towards the normal. It bends towards the normal. Now, when the observer observes this refraction or observes this light coming to its eyes, then it sees that it is like without deviation and it is coming from this point O dash. So this separation x is known as normal shift. This is known as normal shift. So normal shift is O dash, and it can be calculated as 1 minus 1 upon mu into T. So here T is the thickness of glass slab and mu is its refractive index. So, or the object appears to be shifted towards the slab by a distance x. So we can clearly see that it seems that object is being shifted towards the glass slab. Now see optical path. So optical path is defined as distance traveled by light in vacuum in the same time in which it travels a given path in any medium. So it is defined as optical length. Like see, in first medium, we are having a medium of length x in which light is traveling. Its refractive index is mu. So time taken by light ray pass through the medium is mu x upon c. Though this time taken is mu x upon c, where x is geometrical path and mu x is optical path. So mu x is known as optical path and x is its geometrical path. So here time taken is t is equal to mu x upon c. C is speed of light in vacuum. C is speed of light in vacuum. Similarly, in second case, let us say that two mediums are there whose geometrical lengths are x1 and x2. So in this case, optical path is mu1 x1 plus mu2 x2. Mu1 x1 plus mu2 x2. So since for all media mu is greater than 1, so optical path length is always greater than geometrical length, because optical path length is mu x. Mu is always greater than 1 for any given medium, so it is optical path is always greater than geometrical path length. Now see real and apparent depth. So here we are having two different conditions when object is in denser medium and observer is in rarer medium. So if object is in denser medium and observer is observing this from a rarer medium, then in that case refractive index is defined as real depth upon apparent depth. Real depth upon apparent depth. Let us say that object is placed at the bottom of this container, and when observer observes this object from any rarer medium, then it seems quite raised. It seems quite raised. Let us say it is raised by a distance d, and height of this liquid filled in container is h. So here real depth is h and h dash is this virtual depth, which is apparent depth. So mu is defined as h upon h dash, real upon virtual depth. So real depth is greater than apparent depth. That's why a coin at the bottom of bucket appears to be raised. So if we place any coin in a bottom of a bucket, then it seems to be raised because of this concept that real depth is always greater than apparent depth. So in this case shift will be, so shift is total height minus h dash, which is equal to d. So d is equal to 1 minus 1 upon mu into h. 1 minus 1 upon mu into h when observer is in rarer medium and object is in denser medium. For water mu is equal to 4 by 3. Depth is equal to h by 3. For glass mu is equal to 3 by 2, so depth is equal to h by 3. So you can calculate by placing the value from here. Now see, in second case, we are considering that if our object is placed in denser medium, our observer is in denser medium and object is in rarer medium. In this situation, let us say that it is a particular distance O, it is at a particular point O, which is at h height, and its image seem to be raised at a certain distance h dash. Then in this situation, mu is equal to h dash upon h, means here refractive index is defined as apparent depth, apparent height upon actual height. So h dash upon h. So in this situation, what happens? That real depth is less than apparent depth. That's why high flying aeroplane appears to be higher than its actual height, because apparent depth is quite high, apparent height is quite higher than real height. So here this shift is, normal shift is d is equal to mu minus 1 into h. D is equal to mu minus 1 into h. If shift for water, so place mu is equal to 4 by 3, and for glass, place mu is equal to h by 2. If a beaker contains various immiscible liquids as shown, let us say any container is containing different liquids of refractive indices and different their heights, then apparent depth from bottom. So in this situation, apparent depth will be d1 upon mu1 plus d2 upon mu2 up to how whatever number of our liquids are given to us. So mu of this combination, is dAc upon, means actual upon apparent. So d1 plus d2 plus d3, these are actual heights, and d1 actual shifts, and d1 upon mu1 plus d2 upon mu2 are apparent. If d1 is equal to d2, then mu is equal to 2 mu1 mu2 upon mu1 plus mu2. If you are given only two liquids and both are in same heights, then you can say that refractive index is 2 mu1 mu2 upon mu1 plus mu2. Now see total internal reflection. So if we talk about concept of total internal reflection, then you have to keep in mind two things. One is light should always be traveling from denser medium to rarer medium. From denser medium to rarer medium. Second thing, at a particular angle of incidence, when angle of refraction becomes 90 degree, then this particular angle of incidence is known as critical angle. So this angle is known as critical angle. Now if any light ray travels more angle than this critical angle, then it will bounce back in the same medium. It means this phenomena is known as total internal reflection. So whenever any light ray travels an angle which is greater than critical angle, then that light ray bounce back in the same medium. So this phenomena of light is known as total internal reflection. So in this case, let us say one medium is air and another medium is any denser medium of refractive index mu, then mu is equal to 1 upon sine c. This c is known as critical angle. So at I is equal to c, r becomes equal to 90 degree. So mu is equal to sine 90, mu is equal to sine c upon sine. So it is 1 upon sine c, or you can say cosec c. When a light ray travels from denser to rarer medium, then deviation of ray is, so when light ray travels from denser to rarer medium, in that situation deviation is pi minus 2 theta. It means del is maximum when theta is equal to minimum. At critical angle there will be maximum deviation. Dependence of critical angle. So if we talk about dependence of critical angle, then it depends on color of light. It means wavelength of light. So we can clearly see that lambda is inversely proportional to mu, and mu is inversely proportional to sine c. So lambda for r is greater, so its critical angle will also be greater. Nature of pair of media: greater the refractive index, lesser will be the critical angle, because mu is equal to 1 upon sine c. 1 upon sine c. For diamond pair, critical angle is 24 degree. For glass air pair, it is 42 degree. Temperature: with temperature rise, refractive index of material decreases, therefore critical angle increases. So we can clearly see that if temperature is increased, then refractive index decreases, and if refractive index decreases, then critical angle increases. So these are examples of total internal reflection. This concept is known as mirage, and this concept is known as unmirage. It is known as unmirage. It means in deserts, in hotter days, we can clearly see vertical opposite images or inverted images of trees or plants is due to total internal reflection. And we can say that in winters, images of ships, whenever these ships travels on oceans, then they seems to be raised quite up from their actual surface. So that is known as unmirage. Brilliance of diamond. So there is sparkling in diamond or brilliance in diamond, that is also due to total internal reflection. There are repeated internal reflections due to which that diamond seems to be sparkled. Optical fiber. So optical fiber is basically used in communication system. In other words, we can say that optical fiber is a device which is used to convert one type of signal into another type of that is used to carry signals from one place to another place. And so optical fibers consist of many high quality composite glass quartz fibers. Each fiber consists of a core and cladding. So in optical fiber, we generally, whenever talk about its construction, then it is made of composite glass or fiber. So these fibers are generally consist of core and cladding. The refractive index of material of core is higher than that of cladding. So core is inner part, let us say this core is inner part and cladding is this outer part. So its refractive index is, let us say, mu1, and its refractive index is it's mu2 and mu1. So here mu1 is greater than mu2, means refractive index of core is kept high. So whenever light travels from core to cladding, then it totally internally reflects and it travels from one end to another end by total internal reflections. So this is the concept of optical fiber. A bundle of optical fiber can be used as light pipe in medical and optical examination. It can also be used for optical signal transmission. So one type of signals can be converted into another type of signals with the help of transducers. So transducers are also used in propagation of light waves, light signal transmissions. Field of vision of fish or a swimmer. Let us say a fish inside the water can see the whole world through a cone. So this fish can see whole world with this cone shaped size. So here this is known as field of view. So this field of view can be explained with 2c. So apex angle, it is 2c. So this angle is 2c. Critical angle is 42 degrees Celsius for water air interface. So in this situation, 42 into 42, 42 plus 42, so it is 98 degrees, almost 44 degrees taken here, 49. So 49 into 2, 98. So it is 98 degree. Radius of base. So radius of base can be given as, let us say this is angle C, this is radius R. So we can say that tan R is equal to h upon C. So h R is equal to h upon tan C. So R is equal to h upon tan C. This C is critical angle here. Area of base. So area of base here, area of base is pi h square upon mu square minus 1. Now see Pororo prism, a right angled isosceles prism. A right angled isosceles prism which is used in periscopes or binoculars. It is used to deviate light rays through 90 degree and 180 degree and also to erect the images. So such a type of prisms which are used to invert the images or which are used to rotate or deviate the light by angle of 90 degree or 180 degree are known as Porro prism, and they are used in binoculars. So let us have some pattern of questions. First one, a beam of monochromatic blue light of wavelength this angstrom in air, its wavelength in water. So simply you have to use lambda is given, mu is given. So you should know relation in lambda and mu. So it is mu1 upon mu2 is equal to lambda 2 upon lambda 1. So use this relation and calculate its value. Second one, on a glass plate, a light wave is incident at an angle of 60 degree. Let us say this is a glass plate and a light is incidenting at an angle of 60 degree. If the reflected and refracted waves are mutually perpendicular, so this is the reflected ray and this is the refracted ray, and they are mutually perpendicular. The refractive index of material, so we can calculate refractive index of material here. R is, so say this complete angle is 90, so if I is 60, then R is also 60. So we can find this value of angle of refraction, which can be 60 plus 90, 150. So 180 minus 150, it is equal to 30 degree. So now we can calculate sine I upon sine R is equal to mu2 upon mu1. So second medium glass plate is given, so it is mu. First one is air, so mu. So now you can calculate and answer will be √3. Similarly, next, velocity in refractive index is this, and in certain liquid the velocity of this medium refractive index. So now you have to calculate velocity. So refractive index and velocity are again inversely proportional to each other. Use this relation and you can calculate velocity. So now practice these questions on your own. These are very simple questions. Pause the video and note them down. Next question is also quite simple. It is very simple. Light is traveling from air to water, then from water to it is traveling from air to glass, then from glass to water, and then it is perpendicular. So this is a question which is based on optical path. So write down these questions and note, practice on your own. Now see refraction from curved surfaces. So refraction from curved surfaces. So there are two types of curved surfaces again here. One is convex and another one is concave. So we can clearly see in first case, this is the object, this is the pole, and its image is formed in medium 2. Similarly, in second case, if this is of this ray, then images are formed here in second medium. So U is distance of object, V distance of image, R radius of curvature. These are like similar as we have discussed in mirrors. Now see refraction formula. So if we talk about refraction from curvical surfaces, then our formula is mu2 minus mu1 upon R is equal to mu2 upon V minus mu1 upon U. So here mu1 is refractive index of first medium, mu2 is refractive index of second medium, V is image distance, U object distance, R radius of curvature of the spherical surface. So this is the relation. Real image forms on the side of refracting surface that is opposite to object. Now here in case of refracting surfaces, if object is placed in at one side, then real image will be formed in opposite side. Lateral magnification. So lateral magnification is again I upon O, or we can say mu1 V upon mu2 into U. So this is a very simple pattern of question which is directly based on formula. You can easily calculate. So calculate it. Now let us talk about lenses. So lens is a transparent medium bounded by two refracting surfaces. So any transparent medium which is bounded by two refracting surfaces such that at least one surface is spherical. Such that at least one surface is spherical. So based on it, these lenses can be divided into two parts, convex and concave nature. So here convex lens. So convex lens and concave lenses again are classified into three parts each based on their shape. So how to identify convex lenses? So convex lenses are thick at middle and thin at edges. So you can clearly see all three types. They are thin at edges and thick at middle, while concave lenses are thin at middle and thick at edges. So now see, first one is double convex. It is also known as biconvex, means both surfaces are convex. Second one is plano-convex. One surface is plane, another one is convex. Third one is concavo-convex, means one surface is concave and another surface is convex. Similarly, in case of concave lens, both the surfaces are concave, then it is known as biconcave. If one surface is concave and another one is plane, then it is plano-concave. And if one surface is convex and another one is concave, then it is known as convexo-concave. So they are thick at middle, they are thin at middle. It forms real and virtual images both. So convex lenses are identical to concave mirror, and concave lenses are identical to convex mirror in with respect to image formation. So here convex lens forms real and virtual images both, while concave lens only forms virtual images. Concave lens will always form virtual images. Hence we can say that concave lens is always of diverging nature, so it is also known as diverging lens, while convex lens converges the light, so it is also known as converging lens. Now some definitions. See, here we have explained C1, C2. So C1, C2 are center of curvatures of both the refracting surfaces, and R1, R2 are their respective radius of curvatures. This O is midpoint of refracting surface, which is known as optical center in case of convex or in case of concave. So optical center, a point for a given lens through which light ray passes undeviated. So it is the midpoint of refracting surface of a lens through which when any light ray passes, then it becomes undeviated. Principal focus. So principal focus. Now see, in case of convex lens, we can say that it is a point situated on principal axis. Whenever light passes through it, then it becomes parallel to principal axis after refraction. And in concave mirror, we can say that when light ray seems to come from this principal focus, then it becomes parallel to principal axis after the refraction. Second focus is known as, so in case of convex lens, second focus is known as primary focus or principal focus. So it is, if light rays are coming parallel to principal axis, then they combine together or they meet at a point which is known as secondary focus or second focus. Second principal focus is the principal focus of the lens. So as I told you earlier, principal focus is considered to secondary focus. When medium of two sides of lens is same, then f1 is equal to f2. If medium in both sides are equal, then f1 is equal to f2. If medium on two sides of lenses are not equal, then focal length is directly proportional to refractive index. It means we can say that f1 upon f2 is equal to mu1 upon mu2. Now focal length. So focal length is distance between principal focus from optical center. If we talk about convex lens, then for convex lens focal length is positive, and for convex lens it is negative. If we talk about plane surface, then for plane surfaces there is no curvature, so focal length becomes infinite. Again, aperture is effective diameter of light transmitting area. So this effective diameter is known as aperture. Intensity is directly proportional to aperture square. Larger the size or larger the diameter of lens, larger the intensity of image formed. Power of lens. So power means it is the ability of bending of light. How easily or how fast it deviates or it bends the light, it is the ability of lens, which is power. Its unit is diopter. So power of lens is measured in diopter. One diopter is 1 meter inverse, or you can say 100 centimeter inverse. So P is equal to 1 upon F or 100 upon F in centimeter. So here we are given a comparison for thick and thin lenses. So for thick lenses, power is large, focal length is small, radius of curvature is small. If lens is thin, then power is small, focal length is large, and radius of curvature is also large. image formation. So if we talk about image formation from lenses, then it is very clear, as we have discussed image formation from concave mirror and convex mirror. So image formation for convex lens is analogous to concave mirror. So I'm not going to explain it again. You simply note it down and explain on your own. But simply keep in mind one thing. Then in case of mirror, center of curvature, focus all resides in one side, while in case of lens, two center of curvatures, two radius of curvature and two focuses are there. So whenever object comes towards the lens, then image will move away from the lens, means in opposite direction in case of real, and in case of virtual, image will be towards the object. So here these cases are explained. Similarly, in case of concave lens, so this concave lens is analogous to convex mirror. So this is the general concept of image formation. Now see some key points. Minimum distance between an object and its real image formed. So see, in case of mirror, we have seen that when object was at center of curvature, then its image was formed at center of curvature also. But now here in case of mirror, in case of lens, when object is placed at 2f1, then its image will be formed at 2f2. So minimum separation is 2f plus 2f, which is equal to 4f. Minimum separation is 4f. Maximum image distance of concave lens is its focal length. So maximum image distance for concave lens is focal length. So this is the brief introduction of lenses. So students, our remaining portion of this topic will be discussed in our next lecture. So thank you for watching the video. We will meet in next video with our remaining topic of refraction of light. So thank you.